Hi, everyone. I'm Will.
And I'm Harry.
And this is the Tolstoy podcast, episode
we're talking
101.
Tolstoy. Maybe no more episodes after this, but this will be a good one. We're talking about War and Peace. We're talking about everything.
Anna Karenina.
Everything's
War
on the
and
table.
Peace,
War and Peace.
Childhood, boyhood, youth.
Yeah.
A confession.
A
half
confession
of
is
what
great.
is art.
Half of what is art.
I've got another half to read. And
what else have we read? We've read Father Sergius. That was great.
That is it.
That was great. I like that.
And I recently read Tolstoy's essay on
Zionism.
I can't believe he wrote an essay on Zionism. It's
He
crazy
wrote
to
an
think
essay on
he was alive like semi-recently.
More than... yeah.
What did he think of Zionism?
Very anti, which I think, well, makes sense in his sort of, he's like, this is a distraction. What you really want is to go. He really closes his essay on Zionism with a paragraph about this is just another immigration movement out from sort of a congested space for people who want to do agriculture. And he's like, the nationalism is a misguided manifestation of this. You should go do agriculture in Russia.
That's really interesting. He's such a fascinating guy. I always wonder why he didn't just leave his wife and kids way earlier. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know. Well,
but he was so, he was like, I love the peasants so much. I'm such a leech on them. Like, I hate myself. I hate, the art that I've done. I, maybe don't think my family life is even that important anymore. I don't know why he didn't just leave earlier.
I think, because he could never be a Levin or a Nikolai Rostov.
No, he can never. Well, I mean, Levin likes his family, though. I think his wife and him kind of hated each other at the end of it.
I heard his wife wrote all his books or something.
Well, yeah, she at least transcribed
but he stole.
Them.
It was like a Zelda Fitzgerald F. Scott where he stole all of her ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, is that really true?
I don't know.
Oh.
I was confirming you. I thought
it's
you
interesting. Would it change anything?
Would it change anything?
I don't know how you read the books.
No, it would make me read the women's stuff a little bit more. Why did she think this about women? Why was she
Yeah.
She really must have thought she was very stupid because
stupid or very pious and perfect. And,
yeah,
stupid, sort of simple.
Well, there's that thing in a confession where he's the only people I've met who can't stop thinking or who are able to not think about death are women or children or very stupid people.
Can you explain what Epicureanism is to me?
Epicureanism? I have no idea. Why?
We keep bringing it up in class.
In this class? Wait, do we keep bringing it up in class?
Yes.
I don't know what that means. I have no memory of that. I think I just kind of phase out when people say words I don't understand.
Well, it's really about, and this I guess brings me to my question. It's really about the honey, which I think is what you're talking about with the women too, who's able to live.
To lick the honey.
And I guess it brings me to my question, which is, are you licking the honey? Are you looking down the dragon's mouth? Are you looking up at the, was it an elephant?
Wait, what do you think? Okay, so I didn't understand before we get it, because that's a great question. But when, it is so recording. When we, he's okay, so you're chased into the thing by a robber or something, right? Into the well?
Well, no, he says a ferocious beast.
Okay, so the guy, the dragon below is death, right? But what is the ferocious beast above?
Totally a great question, and what I wrote my essay on recently.
What do you think it is? What do you think he thinks it is, and what do you think it is?
Well, I think that would be sort of time, and then the thing at the bottom would be death.
Wait, aren't the mice time, though? It's
the mice are day and night. What it is in... So he sort of, no one knows where that story came from. A lot of people think it's from a story in the Mahabharata, which is the OG Sanskrit epic.
Whoa.
And there's a story in it, but it spends most of the time outside of the well and details how the traveler gets into the well, which Tolstoy doesn't care about.
Yeah.
And what that one says is that there's all sorts of animals outside. And the whole forest is in the palm of the hand of a giant woman who's slowly closing it in. Whoa. And that is time. So you will be forced down into the well. Even if there are the mice, you will be forced down into the well by something. But the what that one says is that the elephant that chases you in has it's 12 feet and 4 faces, 4 heads, and it's like one head is the fall, and one head is the spring, and one is the summer, and every leg is a month. And so that's really like what's looking down on you. It's closing in as time, and you're looking at the seasons that are changing, and sort of the whole world outside of the well is, I think when you're in the well, you're alive. When you're outside of the well, you are becoming human. To become human is to fall into the well. But when you sort of live with time and with, I guess, sort of like the Platonic ideals of all these things. And you're born and they close you in to that well. And you look up at those Platonic ideals at that time, but you can't get out. And you're looking down at death, maybe?
That is so fascinating.
I don't know.
That's really interesting. That's cool. We were talking, not to bring it to a different class, but we were talking in Alienation about how, like, Lukács thinks that, like, how we actually perceive time is changed by capitalism. Like, he always says, like, time is transformed into, like, space because, like, all we look at time is, like, as, like, discrete measurements to, like, do things in. Like, you should be able to, like, do this amount of work in an hour. And then, like, even, like, that's, like, brought out of just, like, the work and into, like, everyday life of, like, you can say, like, I've invested too much into this relationship. Like, this, like, capitalist structure is brought into, like, every single part of your life. And I remember we talked about how, like there's this, like, 4,000 week thing of, like, you have 4,000 weeks to live.
Yeah, I've seen it. Like, make sure you... Or, when mattress ads are, like, you'll spend half your life asleep.
Yeah, but, like, even that is, like, a corruption of, like, maybe capitalist forces of, like, if we weren't so, like, production-oriented, we wouldn't be, like, I have 4,000 weeks. Yeah. But I think Tolstoy is so obsessed with death.
He's so
time. Obsessed with dying.
Well, I think but I guess I wonder to bring it to religion. It feels like things are always sort of doing that with our time. I mean, we have like the Hebrew calendar, but then it's like praying 5 times a day, where someone's job is to get the time right and blow the horn at the right time. I don't know.
Maybe, but it's like, what if in like I think Lukács has this idea.
Hi.
Sorry. Hi.
Do you need this classroom for something?
Okay, we got kicked out of our study room, which was odd. We're now in Thompson Memorial Chapel. It's empty, and we felt like it would really get us in the Tolstoy headspace. But if any listeners think this is disrespectful, sorry.
Let us know.
We didn't think it was, but
filled with love for God.
It's really
very beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
Light is coming in through the windows, and I was asking Harry on the way here if Tolstoy would approve or disapprove of this use of the chapel space.
I think he would approve. I don't think that he's very uppity about, like, chapel space, though. He's so, like, anti-established religion that I think he would be like, it's just like any other space.
Maybe, but I do think he's, like, I don't know. I think in the way that he values Kitty and Levin's marriage as this, like, thing, where he's like, society builds this space for you. Maybe the church can build a certain type of space that's worthwhile to keep. I don't mean to sound pretentious. I worry that this whole podcast, though, is sort of pretentious.
What do you mean?
Do you think someone came in?
It, like, maybe is pretentious, but I think that's okay. I think, like, any time you talk about Tolstoy, people will at least think it's pretentious. But I was trying to convince people. I've been trying to tell people, like, you should read War and Peace, and they're like, oh, it's like War and Peace. Like, that's such a pretentious thing to say. I'm like, no, it's actually just, like, kind of a fun read. Like, I think it's, like, a good book.
It's definitely more, and Tolstoy would hate this, more novelistic than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it really is.
It's definitely, and maybe what I mean by that is just entertaining and not novelistic.
It is entertaining, though.
But there's arcs, and there are climaxes, and things happen, and people change and die. It's maybe sort of felt kind of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it really is.
In the way that...
Have you read Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett?
No, but my mom keeps telling me to read it.
It's really good. You should read it.
Why are you thinking about Pillars of the Earth?
Because I think Pillars of the Earth is also very kind of Tolstoy, and it's like this whole, like long person's life. And it's just centered around, like, building a church, like the biggest church in Europe. What do you think? I remember the first day of class we looked at Tolstoy's, or was this in a different, have you seen Tolstoy's grave? Was this in this class that we looked at it?
I'm sure.
Tolstoy's grave is like, he doesn't have a gravestone, he just has like a lump of earth.
Do you think he would have liked that?
I think he would have.
Do you think if Tolstoy were alive right now, he would have wanted to be cremated?
No, I think he would have wanted his energy to go back into the earth.
Do you think he would have wanted a coffin?
No. Maybe. I feel like he would have wanted like a sparse wooden coffin.
I guess I don't like imagine him as a naturalist though. I think he's very into like what labor can get from nature. Do you know what I'm saying? Like maybe not, because he does do some like nice descriptions of stuff.
He
But
does
I don't know
love
if I
the
really
nature.
think he's like I love natural beauty as much as he's like I love the meaning that humanity imbibes.
What about the
natural
sky,
beauty,
though? The lofty sky is very natural
yeah,
beauty.
totally. But maybe it's because of our relationship to it.
Yeah, well, I don't think he thinks the sky has anything like inherently like spiritual about
But
it.
maybe.
I think it's like the infinity of it. I also don't know if he really believes in God in a way that like most people think about what God is. Like I don't know what he thinks God is or does. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like it's very like new agey, sort of like God is what is it? Agape.
What?
It's sort of like love. It's like a type of universal love for everything, and it's like a Christian.
Do you think he took psychedelics? I kind of doubt it.
And then, do they have those?
I'm sure they've had psychedelics forever.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think he would have.
I feel like he wouldn't have been into
He
that.
sort of. I don't know what his stances on like drinking are either. I think.
I mean, he
maybe
hates
sees it as, like, a
tobacco.
corruptive. Yeah.
He doesn't like tobacco. I'm guessing he doesn't like drinking.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's the sticky stuff, but there's also sort of, I guess he sort of disdains the Anatole drinking thing, Pierre drinking thing.
Yeah, he thinks they're like become like vagabonds when they drink. Like it's a bad move. I wonder what it's very interesting to me that he doesn't think that there's anything after death, because I feel like that's so like, I feel like his anxieties would
Does he
like,
say that?
well, I mean, Professor Cassidy keeps saying that he thinks that there's nothing after death. I didn't actually read him say that, but I'm sure she knows. Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Professor Cassidy.
It's just kind of fascinating to me that he doesn't, that like he's so anxious about death, but still does not think that there's anything after death.
Yeah, it would make him feel a lot better.
I would
guess.
think.
But he can't because it's irrational.
It's irrational. He loves rationality.
But there's something rational about his belief in God, I guess.
I guess so. Well, he thinks it transcends rationality. But it seems I think he's very conflicted about that. Like, I think he thinks that it's impossible to believe in God rationally, but also really desperately wants to fit it into rationality.
Well, then I guess my question for you is, why does he draw the line at God? Like, why can't he believe in other irrational things?
I don't know. I mean, probably like part of it's like cultural, like he was raised with like religion. But in What Is Art, he talks about like religion is really just the cultural sentiment about like the best possible way to live. So it seems like he doesn't even think religion is really centered around God.
Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe it's just God is just like how else would everything be here if not for God? How else could you have like universal love
Yeah.
if not for God? Maybe.
Well, because I guess we were saying before too about like what does he think God is? It's like not. I mean, it's not. But it is maybe really a Christian God, even if you will say that it's not.
Yeah.
It's sort of a agape agape.
Yeah, I buy
Gotta
that.
say it.
I think he would have been very at home in like modern spiritualism, some versions of modern spiritualism. Maybe not a lot, definitely not others.
Totally.
But it's interesting to me that he doesn't believe in like a Christian version or like the Christian rules. Like you don't have to follow like the Judeo-Christian like laws, you know? Like he doesn't believe in this like organized religion law thing, but he's still so anti-sex. I think it's really fascinating that he like latches onto sex as this like thing that he hates so much, even though he's so like it's not like he hates it because the like Orthodox Church is telling him he should hate it. Do you know what I mean?
It feels very masculine virility, preserving my unique self. Like that there's something like draining to him about sex in sort of a Father Sergius way, where it's like Father Sergius can get so good at religion and knowing all the rules, even if he doesn't believe in it, that sex is a distraction. Probably in a similar way as alcohol.
It's
I
like
don't
this
know, why do you
corrupting
think?
thing. I agree. I think part of it is like he's just so culturally like, it's like this like almost like unquestionable rule of like the culture at the time that like sex is not a great thing.
But I think he sort of would have said the opposite, that like I'm going against the norm.
I think he would have, but I think
he's tapping into it.
I think like everyone deep down kind of felt at the time that it was like immoral, even if people do it. Maybe not, but that's what I would think. I also think he like maybe thinks it's a distraction from like true inner self. He's not like a relationship oriented person. Like I think he's extremely self oriented. So maybe it just like distracts you from like self perfection and like self work. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. But then why do you think his books are so... Daedalus said something very interesting in class that was like interpersonal versus intrapersonal.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Tolstoy is super interpersonal. But if he, he's so, I guess, he's like you said, he's so obsessed with the self. Why do you think he writes interpersonal narratives?
I don't know. I think maybe he hates himself for being so interpersonal focused. Like, I think he thinks that's like a flaw that he should fix. Like, he would be better if he weren't so focused on relationships. It's weird because he's so good at it. Like, he's so good at writing realistic relationships, I think. But I don't know if he's, like, actually thinks that's a good thing to be good at or to be interested in. But then also, universal love is kind of a central tenet of what he believes in, and that's so interpersonal.
Yeah.
So maybe my theory is wrong. I don't know.
What about the relationships about the way he writes them, do you think makes them seem so real?
I don't know. Maybe the relationships don't real. Maybe the characters just feel real. Like Pierre feels very real to me.
Does it make sense to you that Kitty and Levin end up together and Pierre and Natasha end up together?
Pierre and Natasha, I was like, I'm there. I see it 100%.
Interesting.
Kitty and Levin, I was like, not so much. Like, I feel like he starts Anna Karenina as like Kitty's kind of this like vapid, like, I mean, she's a child, but just
totally
like,
disagree.
I feel like from like at the start she's like, I just love Vronsky, and then like he makes her into more of a character after that, which maybe is just her growing up.
Yeah.
But I think at least at the start I was like, there's no way they should end up together. Like, you kind of know they will, but I didn't think they should.
I think that sort of the Kitty Anna relationship felt very profound. I mean, I maybe not. And I guess I can read into it whatever I want to, and so maybe it's not so...
Wait, but what do you mean about the Kitty Anna relationship?
Yeah, where she's like very... I think the way that evolves, from the beginning it's like she's so jealous of her, but also sort of senses that there's something off, maybe.
Yeah.
I think maybe I could just like relate to Kitty, especially... And I think in the spa thing where she like learns about, I don't know, Christian love, and then learns that it's all sort of a farce, but keeps some of those things.
Well, you love Kitty and Maria. Why do you relate to them so much? Why do you think you relate to them?
I think Maria, I was thinking about this the other night, that I have to over-intellectualize and invent all these reasons that I love Maria, but really it's just because she has a very heavy tread, and I have a really heavy tread, and I'm sort of insecure and self-conscious about it. Yeah, and I was like, to write a character with a heavy tread who's still... Did you see how the lights all blinked at the same time?
I'm noticing that they're kind of going on and off, and it's really scaring me that someone's going to like come in and yell at us.
Yeah, maybe.
Wait, I think it's more than the heavy tread. I think there's something else there.
Yeah, I think there's I think sort of like a piousness that comes from such sort of a place of, and again, this is probably just me projecting, but like a place of weakness.
I don't think it's weakness. It's not weakness.
Not weakness, but like pain, maybe,
Yeah.
where it's like her, it's like she needs it to... I guess the question is like if there is like a hole created in her by her father,
Yeah.
is she papering it over, or is she filling it in with something else?
Yeah.
And I guess to me it seemed like a papering over, which might just be my own.
I agree. I don't see Maria as like a mentally healthy character. I don't think she's like very
Even at the end?
self-realized. The notebook thing is weird. When she writes down all of her kids' like transgressions in a little book, I'm like, that's weird. She's weird.
But like Professor Cassidy said, that's totally what was like cool about.
Well,
raising
Tolstoy
kids.
loves her.
I guess, but maybe he just, how do we make value judgments of the characters with the way that Tolstoy puts society? Like, you know what I'm saying? If we're thinking about how much do we read it with a historical lens?
Yeah. Like, is like societally, like nowadays, would she be a good parent in like the socially accepted
Yeah, like
way?
if Tolstoy was alive in 2023, would everything about Maria be the same, except instead of a notebook, would she be gentle parenting? Would she be like, no.
No, I don't think she would be. I think she's like a taskmaster. She's like the old prince at the end. Like, she gets a bit of that old prince thing.
She wouldn't be gentle parenting.
No,
How do you think
she
she
wouldn't
would be parenting?
I think she would be very like her kid would go to Williams or like something. Like, she'd be like, you need to like work hard and like be a good person and like do all this work all the time, or else you're gonna be like a failure.
It's interesting though, because I think we sort of would see, like, I think if Tolstoy were alive today, he would look down upon that type of parenting.
Maybe you're right. What parenting would Tolstoy appreciate, do you think?
Something between that and the gentle parenting, I think.
I think Tolstoy would appreciate like a real moral strictness, but not like No, but Tolstoy loves productivity too. I think he would like a
productivity, but not in the way, like, not in a Williams way. I
Not
mean,
in a-
Williams is comme il faut.
Williams is comme il faut.
I think he would be like, go, but not even that. I think
he'd
you
be like,
could
go
really
to trade
make-
school. I think he would really want his kid to go to
Totally,
trade
he would
school.
be into trade school.
Yeah.
I think you could really make it, maybe this is a complete distraction from the podcast, some sort of like late stage capitalism argument, even about Tolstoy's times.
Yes,
That,
I
that,
agree.
that type of fulfillment that he loves, the like working in the fields,
The
reproduction is not actually possible. And I
Think
think
so?
maybe. I think Father Sergius, who does this extreme thing, is maybe an interesting example of it too, where it's like maybe Levin would not be happy if he just did the farming, which is maybe sort of how we see it at the end, that like he's still trapped in that cycle.
Yeah, he
I don't
is.
know.
Well, he's kind of terrified. It's interesting. He goes. I find the conclusion of Anna Karenina very underwhelming. I really felt, to me, reading it, it was like, this is Tolstoy trying to like justify his own lifestyle of like Tolstoy, or like Levin has a spiritual realization and doesn't change, and like that's okay. It's okay if you have a spiritual realization and nothing changes. That's allowed. Don't worry, it's allowed.
There's a sort of political apathy there too, that I
Yeah.
think isn't present in Pierre, which is maybe
Yes.
sort of the phase that he goes through at
Yeah.
that point,
It's like
before he becomes his pacifist, what is art self.
Yeah. But because I think he realized that you do have to change something about yourself if you're going to change this like internal spiritual thing. Like, it's not just an internal actualization. Well, he's like, Levin, the way Levin interacts with the world will not change. Like, he's still going to get mad at his fucking like brother, and he's still going to like hit the odd peasant every once in a while, and he's still going to do all the same things and like yell at his wife, but like he's going to live the exact same lifestyle, but he's had an internal spiritual realization, and like that's he doesn't have to fear death anymore. Like, that's allowed. He's done the thing. Where maybe like Tolstoy later in life was like, oh no, you can't just do that. Like, I can't just go on living the same old life.
Or realize that it's more cyclical, maybe.
Yeah, or
But
that's more
I guess
cyclical.
I don't know if I believe that Levin, maybe I'm misremembering, but that Levin is permanently sort of spiritually redeemed.
Oh, you don't? I think Tolstoy maybe thinks that he is,
Really?
though.
Yeah.
Because there's all this thing of like, when he always like forgets about his spiritual redemption, and then like is alone. It's like, oh, I remember the lofty sky. Like, I forgot about it, but now I remember it. And you remember like there's the storm clouds going over, and then they like I think that he thinks that like in moments of solitude, he will always have that like realization.
Yeah, and he can have that forever.
But I think I love Confession. I think he talks about this a similar thing in Confession, where like he has these spiritual realizations, but then like even though he still believes in them, like completely falls back into his own same like nihilistic lifestyle almost. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then maybe he spends the rest of his life, I guess we'll see, desperately searching for a thing that will hold.
That will hold him.
Like the pillar.
Like the pillar. My whole thing in my dream interpretation essay is that one of my whole things is that the pillar is a phallic object.
Yeah.
Like the pillar is like this like phallic like male reason. It's this wish fulfillment. Like, he wishes that reason could be this pillar of like that coincides with faith that like his head could rest on, that could like help him view God. And I think Professor Cassay was also talking about how like it's also partially like a displacement of God into the pillar. Like, he almost wishes God was a penis. Like he wishes God was like this male like paragon.
That was manifest.
Yes. It's like displaced into this pillar.
Yeah, and he puts God in a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Or I guess that's the failure that a lot of his characters do, is placing God into earthly things.
Well, that's why he's so cogent with his characters. Like he realizes all of their shortcomings. Like he knows all of Pierre's shortcomings. He knows all of Levin's shortcomings, and then he still makes the same mistakes that they do, which is so fascinating.
Well, which is the only reason. I mean, like they're not real people.
It's just him.
Yeah.
But he's able to write himself so well, but still can't like change himself.
Do you think they're... Well, I don't know if this is a good question.
What?
But really, like, realistic characters, or just because there's, like, something that you have? This is just... I took a class where we read Conversations with Friends, which is a Sally Rooney book.
Uh-huh.
And someone was like, the only reason everyone can relate to these characters is because, like, we're becoming worse people. Like, there was something selfish. Like, they're not so realistic. This is not the human condition. They're the people who really relate are just sort of like self-obsessed and think that they're living in a novel in the way that the characters of Sally Rooney's university life, Ireland books think they are. And I don't know what you think it means, maybe for us to be like two, white guys at a good college in Massachusetts, being like they're so real.
Wait, but I do think they're real, but maybe just in the way that I'm real. Like, I think a lot of... Yes, a lot of people would read those characters and be like, I relate to them zero.
Yeah.
Like, these are like... I'm sure a lot of people would think that. But, like, like you said, I'm a white guy at a very rich university who, like, spends all my time intellectualizing. Like, of course I'm going to relate to Pierre.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm a real person, so I think he's real, too.
Totally. I think that's right. And it is, I mean, everyone... You were telling me this. Everyone in Russia loved, like, they had the people come and read it to the villagers. Like, it is...
Yeah.
I guess it's like, do you think it's a universal story?
War and Peace?
Or, like, as close as someone could get?
I don't know. I guess I don't think I have the perspective to say.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what someone... Like, I'd love to hear what, like, a coal miner from, like, the 1830s thinks about War and Peace. You know what I mean? Like, I in, like, America. Like, an American coal miner, or, like, in the 20th century, I wonder if they would relate to War and Peace.
Yeah.
In the same way that we do. I think they might. I think they would get something out of it in the same way. I feel like everyone kind of has this existential dread, even though Tolstoy thinks that, like, peasants don't.
Yeah, totally. Well, but you were saying, like, peasants loved his books.
Yeah.
But he must have known that. He must have just been like, these people don't understand what I'm saying.
Interesting. Wait, but he loved peasants. Maybe he's like, peasants love my books because they're just like, yeah, those people are so stupid.
Yeah.
I get it.
I wonder... Those people are so stupid. If you think he, like, curates, as we read his books more and more and more, like a wider or a smaller audience. Because in What is Art, he does a lot of, like, foreign language drop-ins. You know what I'm saying?
It's
and, like,
very frustrating.
Crazy references to crazy philosophers, and he's like, these are some second-rate guys. And I'm like, I don't know who that is.
It's crazy. It's crazy how he has that, like, 7 pages of, like, and this person thinks this, and this person... I'm like, this is insane that you took the time to do this.
Do you think so? Who do you think he's trying to impress? And do you think that's changed?
I think he's just kind of a nerd. Like, I think he loves it.
Yeah.
Even though he hates that he loves it, I think he loves it. Like, I love that. Like, I could see if I had, like, nothing to do and I was, like, a super rich landowner in Russia, I could see myself going down that rabbit hole and being like, actually, it's all for God. But I think it's just, he's, like, part of it, he's just kind of a nerd. Like, he loves reading that stuff and, like, criticizing it and, like, writing arguments about it. Like, there's a reason he didn't publish so many of his things. He just liked writing, I think.
Yeah. Interesting. But he keeps publishing it, and he doesn't have to be publishing.
That's true, but I think What is Art was not published until after he died.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting. And Father Sergius.
Or maybe I was thinking of Father Sergius. I don't know about What is Art, but at least Father Sergius wasn't published after he died, which is very interesting.
Why do you think he didn't publish Father Sergius?
I don't know. I think it was like it's like his diary almost. Like it reveals such a deep
I think
inner
it's
desire.
like a wish fulfillment.
It's such a wish fulfillment.
Where this is like, I think with the farming thing, I think I said this earlier. He realizes through writing that book, or convinces himself through writing that book, that he cannot commit. Like he should not stop publishing books. He should not give up all his money. Like it won't work because there's like a Seneca quote that's like something like, no matter where you go, you'll always bring yourself with you, or no matter what you bring to where you go. Or I mean, maybe there's sort of a realization that he doesn't put down on paper, or maybe he does, that he'll always be his miserable self no matter what he does.
Do you think he will be? Do you think people can change?
Do his characters change?
No, do you think like people can change?
I know, but I'm asking.
Oh, do his characters change? Like for the most part, no. I think the characters who start young change. Like there's a growth of like young adulthood to adulthood. That's a change. But I think once Pierre, like I don't think Pierre really changes once he becomes an adult. Like it's always always Pierre.
Yeah.
The core is always Pierre.
Oh, interesting. And there's some core there. How deep do those cores go though? Like, do all those cores touch? Is there like a universal subconscious?
I don't know. I think yes. I don't know.
In his books.
In his books. I think in real life, I don't know if I buy into the whole core
yeah.
thing. But I think at least in his books, it is a thing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Which one?
Both,
question?
I guess.
Do his characters change? I guess it's like, does Anna change when she has the affair? Maybe yeah. Or maybe not. I mean, she really develops a morphine addiction. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But is that a change? Is that like a fundamental change to who she is, or like a corruption of her core? No, maybe they don't change, and maybe I don't think. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's a hard word, because obviously people change, but maybe people never become new people. You know, it's like, because you're always becoming someone new from something else, you'll never change. There will never be a break in who you are.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a break, but I do think people gradually change.
Totally, and they do in that book too. But they never stop being where they came from.
Yes, that's true. So you don't lose the history.
I mean, it's like a tree. It's like a plant.
It's like a tree. He loves trees.
He loves trees.
Gets in the head of a tree.
That talks.
Yeah, the Andre tree. There could be feeling phallic there, I'm sure.
The Andre tree.
The Andre tree.
Does he change when he dies?
Andre? He does, but I'm like, is that even Andre? You know?
That's interesting, because I was going to say he doesn't change at all. He's always
really?
known that.
Oh, interesting. Like deep down, he's always known. Maybe.
Because I'm sorry.
Do you think Tolstoy had the realization that he gave to all of his characters when he died?
Oh. That's the quote. He died alone. We don't have any last words.
It's so sad. I wish someone saw him.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I guess what I was going to say about he's always known to is like the fetishization of youth and infancy, that like that all kids know, and then you forget, and then you know again when you die. I guess before you go into the well, you know, and when you leave the well, you die.
Yeah, but he doesn't think there's anything after death, or maybe he does. He's like, you go back to the source.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he believes in reincarnation, but I guess. Oh, what was the other part of the question?
Do the characters change? Did Tolstoy change?
Andre that you said.
I don't remember.
That I just sort of ignored, but now I've forgotten what it was.
What do you think about the Epicureanism thing? Going back to your original question.
Let's finish with the honey.
Yeah, with the honey, yeah.
What am I doing with the honey?
Yeah. Or what are you doing? You're in the well. What are you doing?
Like playing games on my phone. I don't know. I'm playing Candy Crush. Totally, maybe TikTok is the honey, but TikTok is sort of bad honey. Yeah, like, I think what happens to Tolstoy then is he realizes that Levin's farming is the honey. You know?
Like family life is almost the honey.
Is the honey. If you're not getting out of the well. I wonder if he could believe, too, that religion is the honey. That, like, his belief in God is also honey. Because, of course,
like a Marxian, like...
No, just that even that is sort of it. If you don't believe in reincarnation, maybe he's saving his eternal soul, but maybe he doesn't believe that.
Yeah.
So it's like religion is maybe just another way to get through life.
Yeah.
I guess, sort of the opium of the masses, but maybe if everything is the opium of the masses.
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess I still haven't answered the question.
I know, but yeah, I'm interested.
Well, you go first.
Me first?
Yeah.
I think I had kind of an existential crisis last year where I was feeling very depressed. And then I was definitely in a Tolstoy, like staring at the void thing. I think that's not like suicidal, but just like I couldn't stop thinking about like what happens after death, you know? I think that's part of why I relate to Tolstoy so much. That I'm like, we have very similar like existential dreads. Maybe everyone has similar existential dreads. Maybe everyone relates to Tolstoy. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just licking the honey. I kind of think I think it's such a reductive like metaphor of like you lick the honey and then you die. There's no like growth in that metaphor. There's no like this is why I say Tolstoy is so self-centered. Like that's such a self-centered metaphor to be like you lick the honey and then you die. It's like maybe you like pat someone else on the back and like they get to live out. You know what I mean? Like your impact on others is maybe where the meaning of life comes in.
We're all holding on to trees in a well together. And individual trees snap sometimes.
Yeah, but he doesn't think that. He clearly doesn't really care much about your impact on other people in the grand scheme of like spiritual salvation.
Totally.
Which is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it's like why are you in the well? And he'd say at the end of the day, you're gonna die and never see another well.
Yeah.
You won't know that.
Yeah.
It won't matter to you when you die.
Yeah, but nothing will matter.
But it does.
Whether you saved your spirit also won't matter when you die. Like, who cares? If you agree with his
Maybe you'll have a really bad death then.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I think to follow in your footsteps of a brief history. I think last year I was really like drinking a specific type of honey and really like guzzling it. I think I was like very politically active and really like cared about politics. And I think right now I'm apathetic about maybe everything. And so I think I'm maybe just sort of hanging on, watching the rats.
Interesting.
And thinking that they're sort of putting on a show for me more than I am.
Like an absurdist kind of view of life?
Maybe. Where I'm like, look at these rats. Like, that's so crazy. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And not... maybe sort of like having some honey because we all do.
Yeah.
But not having so much and not looking up or down.
Is eating the honey bad? Is there anything wrong with eating the honey?
Is that what Epicureanism is?
I don't know what Epicureanism is.
This is gonna be.
I didn't even know we brought this
I
up.
keep raising my hand in class to ask, but
what, are you looking it up right now?
On. Should I not?
Wait, no, I know. I'm very curious.
That is Epicureanism.
He's looking it up on Safari right now for the listeners.
An ancient school of
for the one
philosophy.
listener.
Pleasure is the highest good.
Okay.
Honey.
There you go. It's like hedonism. What's the difference between Epicureanism and hedonism?
Maybe one just makes you sound smarter.
That's true. Epicureanism does sound very smart.
Yeah, mental pleasure was regarded more highly than physical, and the ultimate pleasure was
there you
felt to
go.
be freedom from anxiety and mental pain,
Interesting.
especially that arising from
Needless fear of death and of the gods.
Wait, so Tolstoy would be so... He wishes he could be an Epicureanist. That's the thing. This is my problem with Tolstoy, is I'm like... I think Stiva almost lives the ideal life. Like, he's a terrible person. But if you're not... I don't think Stiva lives the ultimate life because I think your impact on other people matters. But if you're like a Tolstoyan, self-obsessed, you just need to like save your soul. Like, Stiva is so happy all the time. Like, who cares if like his moment of death is bad? Every other part of his life is like the best ever. He's such a happy guy. He's always living the dream. He's like eating oysters and like having fun, and he doesn't care that people don't like him very much, and everyone actually loves him. And like, I feel like Tolstoy doesn't do enough to dissuade me from thinking that Stiva's living a better life than Tolstoy is.
But you're not Stiva. You know, only Stiva can live Stiva's life.
That's true. I
You
couldn't
would
be
feel
Stiva.
guilty.
I would feel guilty, and also I don't think I'm charismatic enough.
That's not true.
Stiva's so charismatic. He's like the small guy.
Love Stiva. But, or if you believe that there is a good. is that every single society since, what is that, time premortal or something?
Primordial time? Primordial?
One of those things, a long, long time ago. There's like been a good, and we
Yeah.
all know what it is.
Yeah.
And we all agree on it. And it's sort of this, which I guess is like a fallacy that a lot of people do, is like there's a universal religion.
Yeah.
But I maybe sort of buy it, that there's like a thing that we all know is good, and Steve-O must have known that
Yeah.
the way he was treating people is not good.
I buy into the Platonic thing of like, we all know that like kind of what the good is, but the application of the good onto your life is where the difficulty comes
Okay,
in.
interesting.
But I agree with that. It's like we all know like this is good, this isn't so good. Like this is like morally right, this is morally wrong. But clearly we don't, because I disagree with a lot of people on like very basic things, you know?
But how basic are they, I guess is the question.
I guess
You
like
know, like how
abortion's not basic, but I'm like, if I talk to a conservative, they're like, you are like committing the
You are, like, an
utmost
evil-
wrong, like the utmost wrong, and I really don't feel like it's wrong.
You are committing.
Well, I mean, not
that.
me, but like I guess I'm sanctioning.
Totally. Yeah. Huh. But I guess I would still say that you both think murder is wrong.
We just don't know how to apply it. Yeah,
Which
I guess you're
is
right.
exactly what you said about Plato.
You're right.
Oh, okay. We were interrupted by someone coming into
Once
the
again,
church.
this podcast is just a series of interruptions.
Not
really.
to pray, but to walk through
Yeah,
from place to place, which is definitely interesting.
that is interesting.
But we'll take that as our cue to
tack it off.
end this podcast. Thank you for listening to all 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure this was
40
not
minutes.
very compelling, but it was fun for me.
I'm sure it was great.
You think it was compelling, our
I don't know.
conversation? I hope
Maybe
it was.
not for anyone who's not in our Tolstoy class.
That's why I keep on trying to talk to Kim about this stuff, and she's very nice, but I can tell she doesn't really care very much.
It's hard. It's definitely a hard.
She hasn't read it. I get it.
It's a good life lesson.
Yeah, a sad life lesson.
You just gotta force everyone in your life to read
War and Peace with me.
But
Okay, well, this has been lovely. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Will, for doing this
thank
with me.
you, Harry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, signing off.
Bye.
Bye.